Hello there, guys, and welcome to Daily Updates. Um, Hopefully, I'm audible, guys. Um, it's 8 o'clock, 2 past 8, on a Tuesday. Hopefully, I'm audible. Good evening to you guys, and if I'm not audible, kindly let me know. So basically, today's stream is about the issues of um Gauteng legislature. We just had a press briefing by Helen Zille where she was speaking about the fact that the ANC has not won Gauteng, but they are dictating how it should be ran, and they want to give the DA few positions in that legislature, whereas the ANC doesn't have enough power. ANC has 28 seats, while the Democratic Alliance is sitting on 22 seats, followed by the Economic Freedom Fighters sitting on 11 seats, and Umkondo Wesizwe party sitting at 8 seats. So basically, Helen Zille is not happy with how the ANC is trying to run this whole thing because um, they they only have, if you compare, 6 seats more than the DA, and that is not a huge margin. It's very small. And what they are trying to do is to say that since while we have 28 and you have 22, we are trying to give you 3 positions out of the 11th. If we exclude the premier, it is going to be 10 positions in Gauteng legislature. So from that 10, ANC wants to take 6, give 3 to the DA and 1 to the IFP, which unfortunately the DA is not going to agree to that because they are feeling like the ANC is becoming the boss and wanting to bully them in terms of allocation. And I've got a few interviews here regarding the whole matter, but I just feel like we are just coming from a long wait until Ramaphosa announced his cabinet. Mind you, the cabinet is 75 um, portfolios. It's 32 ministers and 43 deputy ministers. The cabinet of Cyril Ramaphosa. There are parties that used to say that we don't want a big cabinet. It is a waste of money. We are sitting at 75, and it's close to R1 billion a year that we are going to be spending on these people in the next 5 years. The difficulty in coalition or GNU is that everyone wants a share of the cake. There can only be few people who gets the cake, and it seems like that is the situation that we are heading to in terms of Gauteng, and it is led by Panyaza Lisufi. They were supported by the DA in terms of having that position of the premier. In KZN, they worked together, IFP, NFP, ANC, DA, and they gave that position of premier to the IFP. Now they are coming to Gauteng where it is given to the ANC, but out of that, ANC also wants to dictate how positions are going to be allocated. I just want to play these clips before we go deeper into the live stream today. This was yesterday when the ANC was supposed to be addressing the people. Panyaza Lisupi was supposed to announce his cabinet in the province of Gauteng, and unfortunately, Helen Zille says that Pikile Mbalula had to do a call and stop the whole thing. So now what we are looking at is, the fact that Panyaza Lisufi is yet to announce his cabinet. And they held a media briefing to share some details regarding what stopped them to announce. The following is the video where the Secretary General of Gauteng Legislature Gauteng ANC in terms of the issue of not addressing and giving the cabinet. Please listen.
We are not in forming a coalition or even a grand coalition with Democratic Alliance. We are following a framework of the African National Congress as adopted in the NEC. We have deadlocked not once with the Democratic Alliance in the province because we don't believe what they are raising is really reasonable. But when we started, in fact, the first time the premier was not contested at the legislature, including the speaker and the deputy speaker. There was agreements, according to us. From there, we just deadlocked up until today. So that's the reality. But as the African National Congress, we were ready to announce. In fact, the premier is even ready to do that now. But as you would know that we are led, so if the leadership says, hold on, let's engage, because negotiations are not easy, we have to follow what the leadership says to us, go and persuade and engage, because this is not about just the appointment of MECs, but it is also about the stability of the legislature and many other things that they would have considered. But from where we were, there are many parties that came into an agreement with us. In fact, almost all the parties that are in the legislature would have agreed and said they are supporting us to move ahead. So we will, of course, postpone today, but not later than tomorrow. There's no way that the Premier is not going to announce the executive of Gauteng. We will be led by the Secretary General and this negotiation team to try and see if we can find each other with the DA, because we're opening up for everyone. But once people believe that they must have more strength, or they want to dominate, or whatever the case might be, we want other parties to come and participate. Very firm in saying so. With or without DA, we believe in Gauteng will be able to form government. But we're saying it with utmost respect. We've always given all parties respect. In fact, we've spoken to all parties, including a party with one seat, to say we're moving forward, because we've seen what the president of the ANC and the president of the country would have done. And we think that the ANC in its wisdom, in respecting the voters of this country, is doing that. But we must be able to say that coalition, or rather this government of provincial unit, it's a concept of the ANC. Where you are leading, in fact, in Gauteng, we are leading this provincial government of unity. We invite other parties to come. So once a party comes and says, but don't bring this one, bring that one, and so on, we are not going to agree to such things. But of course, those parties who might not be speaking or engaging our national leaders, we might having different engagements with them. But every other party that is at the legislature is actually agreeing with the ANC, except for now, the Democratic Alliance. And we thought we must come and brief all of you, so that you don't think and believe that when TA says they've boycotted this announcement. You can't boycott something when you don't have an agreement.
That is the ANC regarding the matter. We are going to go to the DA very soon, but really, I know this really applies to the GNU. But if you look at what the ANC is saying, and what their sorry, and what their GNU really dictates, the extract says that parties will cooperate with each other in respect of the executive and or legislature activities to advance these shared goals. The GNU shall be constituted in a manner that reflects genuine inclusiveness of political parties that are party to this statement of intent and are represented in the National Assembly, broadly taking into account the number of seats parties have in the National Assembly and the need to advance national interest. The President shall, in constituting the executive, take into account the electoral outcomes. Just this part number 16, I know it really applies to the GNU. Probably the Gauteng is going to say that GNU had their terms, so now we are dealing things our way. But according to how the GNU, the statement of intent was, they should look at how the parties have really done in terms of the national elections. And ANC sitting at 28 seats, while the DA is sitting at 22. ANC wanting to offer DA 3 positions, they get 6 positions and 1 goes to IFP. Then one wonder, if we are really going to be central, is the ANC being unfair in terms of giving the DA 3 seats and the ANC remains with 7, whereas the differences between the two in terms of seats is that they have 28 seats and DA has 22. And wanting to give DA 3 positions while they remain with 6 positions, it is like the same bullying tactics that the DA was using. It seems like now the ANC is also using that. And by the way, Fikile Mbalula has shared this letter to say that the African National Congress informs the media of a media briefing to address the latest developments relating to the formation of the government of the Gauteng government of provincial unity, scheduled as follows, which is tomorrow at 11 a.m. I want to play the next clip by Helen Zille, which is really explaining their situation in terms of the DA and ANC relationship in Gauteng. Here goes Helen Zille not playing sound. Just a second. My Helen Zille clip doesn't have a sound. Now I'm just gonna have to try and fix it. Just a second, guys.
Now, look, we are prepared to go into
let's try and listen to it again. I don't know why it doesn't play on that player. But this is Helen Zille regarding the matter of Gauteng and ANC and DA.
Now, look, we are prepared to go into any government of provincial unity or national unity with parties that respect and defend the Constitution, and the EFF is not one of those. The DA has 22 seats, 28% of the vote. To the ANC's 28 seats in Gauteng, which is 34% of the vote. You will see how close we are, and we could easily form a government just between us. And that would, if we worked out proportionately out of 10 cabinet seats, keeping the Premier on the side, it would mean that we would get 4.7. And the ANC would get the rest. Obviously, that includes the Premier. Now, we have not demanded 4.7 rounded up to 5. We've said we're quite happy to have 4. That would be a nice ceiling for us, and we're completely happy to have 4 out of 10. Even though the ANC would have what we believed would be 5, because we always believed that the IFP would be included in good faith, because they helped us get a government of provincial unity in KwaZulu-Natal. And we're not fair weather friends in the DA. If they've done us a good service by sticking to the agreement in KwaZulu-Natal, we need to do the same in Gauteng. That's how we see it. So we believe that they should be there. So what we were proposing was 5 for the ANC, 4 for us, and 1 for the IFP in relation to the proportionality clause, the inclusivity clause, and reflecting the will of the voters clause. That would have been fair. Not quibbling over numbers, but saying there's some principles that underlie the numbers that have to be respected. Right. The ANC said, no, we'll give you 3, but we're going to bring in other parties. We said, what other parties? Please tell us. That is in good faith. If you're establishing a government of provincial unity, we need to know, because we have some red lines. We actually do. And they wouldn't tell us, and today they said, no, well, actually the plan was to give you 3 and to take 7. So we could see that they'd been in bad faith, which was a huge problem for us. And then they said, okay, we can give now 1 to the IFP, but then you have to still keep 3, and we take 6. It doesn't work that way. There's got to be fairness. And it is very hard for the ANC to come to terms with losing power. I understand that. But they got 34%. They didn't get 50% plus. And that means that they can't dictate the terms. Yes, they are still the biggest party in the government of national unity, but we're not far behind them, and this has to be a power-sharing arrangement. This has to be an arrangement in which we respect each other. Now, Solly wrote on the 22nd of July to the ANC secretary in Gauteng and said, this is how we should do it. We should start with all of the positions. If you're looking at speaker and deputy, that makes it 13. Speaker and deputy and premier and 10 cabinet ministers. That makes it 13. On the basis of proportionality, you get 7, we get 6. We already agreed that the speaker and the premier would go to the ANC. That's a big concession, because really it should be 1 goes to the ANC and 1 goes to us. So we made a big concession to take it to the ANC and say, right, you can have the premier and the speaker, and we took the deputy speaker. Okay, so from those 13, the ANC's got 2 and we've got 1. And now we get to the cabinet, and they're 10. We said, all right, let's take proportionately. Plus the premier, you take 6, which is 5 cabinet seats plus the premier, because he is part of the cabinet, and we take 5. And then what we do is we each give up 1 to accommodate another party. So we want to bring in the IFP. The ANC gives us the first seat because it was proportional. Then we want to bring in another party. We give up 1 seat until it's inclusive. And Solly said that because the cabinet is limited to 10, we couldn't bring in more than 3 other parties without completely undermining the proportionality aspect of it. That was the fair proposal. The ANC never intended, in fact, as we found out today, to bring in any other smaller parties. They were using that as a smokescreen to hide from us the fact that they wanted 7 and they wanted to give us 3. Now, really, we cannot have the wool pulled over our eyes in that way. And that is, for us, extreme bad faith and would actually justify us closing the door.
That is the clip of of Helen Zille regarding trying to really clarify the issue and how the ANC is trying to play the whole game. This is a very, very, very problematic situation for the ANC, especially. ANC knows that they lost, and by losing, you don't have the power to tell people how to behave. So they're basically saying to the DA that we want to give you 3 positions and get 7. And as we do that, it means the ANC has the power. But in Gauteng, the ANC is only 6 more than the DA. So how do they want to say that I've got 6 seats as compared to you? I have 28 and then you have 22. I have 6 more than you. but I want to give you 7 positions and take 3 positions. I want to give you 3 positions and take 7. Sorry, I got disturbed by something. I want to give you 3 and take 7. So basically, doing that, it means the DA in Gauteng is just there to support the ANC. But I have a way of looking at it. As they're reporting to us that this is how things are standing, my take is that Panyaza Lissufi and the rest of the leadership in Gauteng, the ANC leadership, they do not want to work with the DA. They want to work with the EFF, MK party, and squeeze in the rest of the other parties and exclude the DA in this. Because there is a division in the ANC where people feel like the fact that Ramaphosa went in with the GNU and had this thing with the DA, people are not satisfied. And they are feeling like Ramaphosa is selling them off to the DA. So they are trying to save Gauteng in order for it not to go the same way the GNU has went. For example, there is this leaked WhatsApp message, the WhatsApp group on the ANC NEC, where Andile Lungisa was really supporting, was working with Dr. Nkosazana Dluma, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. They were really saying, they were really objecting to the relationship of the ANC and the DA. As you can see on this WhatsApp, leaked WhatsApp messages, Lindiwe Zulu was speaking about the fact that we agreed we would engage everyone. I'm happy they are behaving this way. True colors, nothing new. I'm not really sure who she was referring to, but Andile Lungisa then came and said, we said no to the DA, meaning they basically don't want to work with anything that has to do with the DA. Angie Mutsewa came to say that we said yes to GNU, inclusive of everyone, including the DA, and everybody else willing to work with the ANC. Dr. Dlamini Zuma says, not all of us said yes to the DA, which illustrates a division there by the ANC. So one can really not be surprised when Panyaza Lissufi keeps postponing this cabinet of Gauteng, where he really just has to read just few letters and say that this is who I'm appointing in the cabinet, and then from here, let us go and work. Fikile Mbalula, before they could announce yesterday, stopped that meeting because Fikile knows very well that for DA and ANC to work, they need to be on the same line. But unfortunately, the Gauteng ANC does not move the same way the National is moving. My theory is that ANC in Gauteng wants to work with EFF and MK. And they have this thing of not wanting to include the DA in their cabinet because it seems like they are trying to move in a way that it is only going to be the ANC and the rest of the parties excluding the DA, which many are saying that working with the DA is like selling the history of the ANC. Nyunda, this is why in a free and fair election there must be a clear winner and clear opposition. Correct. Numa Adams, correct on that. Because as soon as you have political parties that are sharing power like you are seeing now, you're going to have an issue because a lot of these people know that they don't have a majority, especially the ANC. And now, because they have just agreed on the GNU, they're trying to dictate Gauteng and say that this is how we're going to work. I personally feel that the ANC is trying to use another route that cannot work if they are really serious about doing the GNU. Unless someone is trying to be divisive in terms of Gauteng and GNU. You cannot have GNU working this way and Gauteng legislature working in another direction. Panyaza Lissufi cannot really go ahead and say that we are excluding the DA, we are working with the rest of the parties, whereas nationally, they have agreed. Unfortunately, they've agreed to work with each other. What they have to do is to continue the same way they've went. This is what just to go off topic, Andile Lungisa was saying to Angelina Motshekga, the new defense minister, our defense minister and military veterans. So Lungisa said that we said no to the DA. Some we know the history of our movement, including the character of our movement. Please, in your hallucinations, don't ever include some of us to anything that has to do with the DA. We never joined the liberation struggle or the movement late in our lives. Comrades must be sensitive to the history of our struggle, please. Celebrate the DA without including our names. That is an indication of division inside the ANC. It is not only on that WhatsApp group, but you can see it in Gauteng. I mean, it is not a problem for the ANC to say that we are choosing EFF, we are choosing MK Party, we are choosing other parties, and we are not going with the DA. But where the problem comes is at the top. You agreed to have a relationship with these guys. I mean, they went to an ANC NEC meeting and they all had a chance to speak. And the conclusion was that we are doing a government of national unity. Everyone is going to have a chance to speak. And let us work with parties that are willing. They agreed on that. They announced the biggest, look at this. They announced the biggest cabinet we've seen in South Africa. Almost $1 billion in terms of money that is going to be paid to these people. A lot of deputy ministers announced by Ramaphosa. They came up with this because they had no choice. If really they went with the route of saying that we are putting the DA aside, it was still going to be difficult because you have to try and speak with the EFF and the MK party, which unfortunately MK doesn't seem like they are looking to work with the ANC. One quite interesting thing is that on Friday last week, the EFF had a meeting with the ANC and really tried to speak in terms of they saw that the relationship of the DA and ANC was collapsing. So the EFF tried to take that advantage to say that let us sit down and see if we can work. They sent out a letter indicating that we're willing to be led by the ANC, and anything that exclude DA or FF plus, we are willing to do that. I think they were hoping that the negotiations collapse, and probably someone like Fikile Mbalula, as Julius Malema was really coming after him, probably Fikile Mbalula lied to the EFF to say that there is a chance that you can still be part of this. And they tried to reach out, and unfortunately, as they reached out, Ramaphosa announced the longest cabinet we have ever seen, excluding the EFF, unfortunately. Now, EFF has missed out on being in government, which is a very unfortunate thing for a party like the Economic Freedom Fighters, who could have had a chance, but unfortunately the 9% is not on their favor. So by EFF missing out on the GNU, one would really think that their biggest opportunity would be to squeeze themselves in on that Gauteng legislature. If they get a chance to be appointed, even if it's one MEC in Gauteng, then it's going to be a difference for them because they can be able to try and work their way to the top. So, unfortunately, the leaders of the ANC are not going to agree to what Panyaza is trying to do by excluding the DA, which takes us back to where we have all been in terms of are we really going to have a successful GNU? Government has been, the cabinet has officially been announced. You can't even go ahead with Gauteng. You go ahead and announce the national and leave out the province. The rest of the province have been put down, but you have Gauteng, which is like the economic hub of South Africa. It is still undecided. It's still telling us that the ANC is not in charge. They are really trying to say that they are in charge. If really ANC is in charge, ANC should have said that before we even finish with the national, let us decide on the provincials so that we don't go back and say that we are missing something, which is where they are finding themselves. Without the approval of Panyaza, ANC sees themselves hanging because it is undecided. And Helen Zille is not playing games with the ANC. She's really saying to them that if you are not giving us a chance, we are pulling out, which provides the opportunity for EFF, MK Party to finally have a play in that cabinet. In KZN, they decided to kick out MK Party. ANC wanted support. DA gave them support. IFP and NFP gave them support. What is hard about working together in Gauteng? The best thing they have to do is to avoid corruption, because we know comrades and corruption is the biggest thing they're looking for. What is so hard about working together in Gauteng? I mean, at this point, we are not going to say that the DA is a problem, the DA is not. We have no power anymore. They've decided to work on a relationship, but for us to continue, for the people of Gauteng to have service, they have to sit down and agree with each other. Confused baked buns. Why in KZN they have excluded MK with huge percentages, which means Ramaphosa deal, it was deliberately remove MK and EFF, but wait and see the disadvantage. Well, remember the ANC did not want MK Party to be happy at the end. MK Party reduced that margin of the ANC. If it was not for the MK Party, ANC would have been over 50%. So as soon as MK celebrated the fact that they have reduced the ANC had to do a revenge on MK Party by excluding and taking that power from them. So my take is that, why do you work and beg the DA and have NFP and IFP work with you so that you can take that power away from MK? And when you go to Gauteng, you still want to be in power. It does not make sense. And one would really think that the decision does not come from the top. It is not the top that said, I must say the following.
With Democratic Alliance, we are following a framework of the African National Congress as adopted in the NEC. We have deadlocked not once with the Democratic Alliance in the province, because we don't believe what they are raising is really reasonable. But when we started, in fact, the first time the premiership was not contested at the legislature, including the speaker and the deputy speaker. There was agreements, according to us. From there, we just deadlocked up until today. So that's the reality. But as the African National Congress, we were ready to announce. In fact, the Premier is even ready to do that now. But as you would know that we are led, so if the leadership says, hold on, let's engage, because negotiations are not easy, we have to follow what the leadership says to us. Go and persuade and engage, because this is not about just the appointment of MECs, but it is also about the stability of the legislature and many other things that they would have considered. But from where we were, there are many parties that came into an agreement with us. In fact, almost all the parties that are in the legislature would have agreed and said they are supporting us to move ahead. So we will, of course, postpone today, but not later than tomorrow. There's no way that the Premier is not going to announce the executive of Gauteng. We will be led by the Secretary General and this negotiation team to try and see if we can find each other with the DA, because we're opening up for everyone. But once people believe that they must have more strength, or they want to dominate, or whatever the case might be, we want other parties to come and participate. Very firm in saying so. With or without DA, we believe in Gauteng will be able to form government. But we're saying it with utmost respect. We've always given all parties respect. In fact, we've spoken to all parties, including a party with one seat, to say we're moving forward because we've seen what the president of the ANC and the president of the country would have done. And we think that the ANC in its wisdom, in respecting the voters of this country, is doing that. But we must be able to say that coalition, or rather this government of provincial unity, it's a concept of the ANC. Where you are leading, in fact, in Gauteng, we are leading this provincial government of unity. We invite other parties to come. So once a party comes and says, but don't bring this one, bring that one, and so on, we are not going to agree to such things. But of course, those parties who might not be speaking or engaging our national leaders, we might having different engagements with them. But every other party that is at the legislature is actually agreeing with the ANC, except for now, the Democratic Alliance. And we thought we must come and brief all of you so that you don't think and believe that when DA says they've boycotted this announcement. You can't boycott something when you don't have an agreement.
I seem to be buffering. I'm not sure if you guys are able to hear me. My network is killing me today. I don't know what. Guys, please let me know if kindly confirm it's buffering, if it's buffering on your side or not. I think I seem to be having some problem here. Kindly let me know if things are in order on your side, as it doesn't seem to be working well on my side. I'm just checking if you guys are able to hear me because I just saw the feed freezing. Just don't want to continue without knowing if we are in order. Kindly let me know if things are in order before we continue because I just saw something freezing. So basically, okay, Grumpy Gamer, okay, I hear you. Thank you. So the thing is that I've seen a question from I just want to go to that question. So Pagamani says, why is it important for the DA to be included in Gauteng? I think for it to be included is because of how they started in terms of the GNU. The fact that they started by working together towards a GNU that includes 10 political parties, and the fact that the ANC got support in KZN to embarrass the MK party. That is the fact why the DA has to be included. Hopefully I fix. Is there no sound? I think the sound is okay. I was probably buffering because of playing that high quality video. I think it contains a lot of space. But anyway, you let me know if you can't hear me. So I'm thinking that the reason the DA should be part of Gauteng legislature and have those positions is that they supported the ANC in KZN. They are part of the GNU. Of course, there are a lot of theories about how they are going to bring ANC to its knees, how they are going to destroy this country. Everyone has their own opinion, but the facts are that ANC cannot say that we have got what we've received. Like, they didn't have a lot. Having 28 seats out of 80, ANC has lost. So they cannot then come and want to dictate how the relationship is going to be. When you look at the fact that they had the best support in KZN, we might not be the favorites of GA, but one thing we know, that what if really they kick the DA to the side, and that corruption that we keep seeing, it continues to go up? What if that happens, and then people go back and say that had we included the DA in this Gauteng cabinet, maybe things would have been different? ANC has no power to say to the DA that we are going to work with the rest of the parties, we put you aside. If they're going to do that, it means the leadership of Gauteng is disrespecting the directive of the national of Cyril Ramaphosa. That is why Fikile Mbalula said that, wait, let us see how we can do this. Let us brief the media on Wednesday. Gauteng ANC said that we are not going to wait any longer. We are not going to wait up until more than we are not going to pass Tuesday. Sorry, we are not going to go over Tuesday. So the best we can give you in terms of time frame is that by Tuesday we are going to announce. It is Tuesday. It is 2044. They have not announced that cabinet to show that they are getting directives from the national. But it seems like they are disrespecting national, because if really they understand how GNU works, they can really look at it and say that it is not about who we want to impress. It is about what is the collective of the ANC moving into. ANC is moving into a direction that consists of DA, IFP, and other parties, including Patriotic Alliance. So for them to want to go ahead without the DA is going to be a problem. I'm looking at the fact that ANC wants to take 7 positions and give 3 to the DA. When you have 28 and they have 22, it does not make sense. Regardless of what we want to see, it does not make sense. And let us not forget one thing. ANC in the past, they've been in a lot of corruption scandals. A lot of them. So we are really not sure that Gauteng is going to work perfectly when led by the ANC. We are really not sure. So the fact that now they want to kick the DA, the fact that they want to kick the DA aside, it really worries me, because at the end of the day, we've been speaking about DA is the wrong party to work with. ANC has decided to work with them. We cannot go then and say that DA is the wrong party to work with in Gauteng. It is going to be absolutely untrue, because you are working with them nationally, work with them in Gauteng. On that question of why does Helen Zille have a problem, or the DA have a problem with the EFF? EFF says that we want to work with the ANC anywhere else, provided they don't have the DA or FF Plus as part of the package. Helen Zille today, I'm just trying to play my videos, but unfortunately they are giving me problem. I just want to play this clip. Helen Zille today said that when she was questioned, she said on the question of EFF, she does not want to work with EFF. Let us see if maybe it can work.
Now look, we are prepared to go into any government of provincial unity or national unity with parties that respect and defend the Constitution, and the EFF is not one of those. The DA is 22 seats to any. Now look, we are prepared to go into any government of provincial unity or national unity with parties that respect and defend the Constitution, and the EFF is not one of those.
So Helen Zille basically says the reason she does not want to work with the EFF is that it doesn't respect the Constitution. those are the reasons. And as much as I heard from the EFF, they are saying that one of the reasons they are citing for not wanting to work with the DA is that it is a racist, white supremacist political party that is looking to advance um, their own interest, and not really look at the interest of black people. Jara Mema says ANC can form a government um, without DA, but DA can form a party with ANC. Who is more powerful, clown? ANC, EFF, PAIFP, Action SA can form a party in all province and Nash. Well, you know what? The thing about having a coalition is that you avoid making it big. Let us look at national. National, they have a coalition consisting of 10 political parties. That is why we end up with 75 portfolios. We have 32 ministers and 43 deputy ministers. That is the reason why we want to avoid a lot of parties working together. You have a lot of parties agreeing on each other. It means when you have to decide on who gets what, you end up creating portfolios that were not there. Next thing we are being told about MEC of potholes, because they want to create a space for someone who doesn't have that chance to be in the legislature or in power. They create space. So the best thing they can do is to avoid the rest of these people and work with a few. Unfortunately, it could have been just EFF, MK, and ANC. They could not come to an agreement. I thought when the elections were announced, when Julius made a press briefing and spoke about the fact that they are ready to work with the ANC, I really thought the direction was that it is going to consist of only 3 political parties. But what happened afterwards, it was really a shame, because no one wanted to come to an agreement, as there were a lot of demands. And what we have, unfortunately, is the fact that we have ANC trying to lead with little power. DA is that political party that has more power, not because they are just behind the ANC. They have more power because the ANC is a failure. By failing to reach that 50%, it means they gave more ammunition to the Democratic Alliance. We must prepare ourselves to being led by DA, regardless of how we feel about DA. We must prepare ourselves to listening to how ANC is going to respond, because it is a shame that a lot of people, we voted and we did not really give the outright majority. And also you look at the EFF, it is a shame that they could not improve from how they did 2019. Had they improved, things would have been different. So the fact that a lot of people voted and gave MK, reduced EFF, gave votes to DA and reduced the ANC, it means we have to come to a situation where we are going to see plans being destroyed and starting over each and every time. Expect to have another cabinet reshuffle by the earliest next year, because this is going to be the most difficult thing ever. What's happening in provincial level is a reflection of what to expect on national level. Agree now and fail later. I agree with you, Adams. We must prepare ourselves for that situation, because what is happening in Gauteng, it means the more they go into arguments and saying that I'm not working with you, you are not good enough, that is the more we are not going to get service delivery in Gauteng. And by not getting service delivery, the people suffer. They say when 2 elephants fight, it is the grass that suffer. DA and ANC not coming into a conclusion, the people are going to suffer. They should put their differences aside and work together, because nationally they are working together. What prevents these guys to work together? Not only the ANC, the DA too. But really, the ANC needs to be fair. If there are just going to be 2 parties or 3 parties, the ANC does not have power the same way they have a little power in national. Having 28 as compared to DA having 22, it means ANC must shed some of these positions to either the lower or the DA so that the transition can be smooth. At the end of the day, if they don't work together, prepare yourself to have Gauteng becoming a failure. We know how comrades are corrupt, how corrupt they are. If they can't work together now, just prepare yourself for something that is going to be difficult. Kevin, I think they should put all the thieves in jail. I would be interested to know who are the thieves, Kevin. So basically, ANC and DA need to really man up, grow up. They're acting very childish. And the leadership of ANC Gauteng needs to listen to National so that they can proceed. We want to judge them based on how they failed. It is difficult to judge them when we are looking at the fact that, as of now, there is nothing to see because these people are fighting. Let them work together. As much as I would like to see ANC working with EFF and MK, I don't think this is the right time. I think Gauteng needs to go and decide to work with the DA so that we can have people working, and as time goes, we can judge them based on how they are doing. If people of Gauteng are going to wait for service delivery and not get it because of these fights between ANC and DA, it is going to be a problem. The point is ANC can form a new government tomorrow without DA. ANC have numbers in Gauteng. No, Jada, ANC doesn't have numbers in Gauteng. ANC does not have... Okay, they have numbers, but those numbers are not enough. Having 28 as compared to 22 of the DA does not guarantee you that you are good. You don't have the numbers. Let us go to the IEC results. Comparing 34 to 27 does not mean you have numbers. If the ANC had numbers, it was going to be 48. And then they would just go and say that, let us take EFF with 12. They don't have numbers because they are on 34. Of course, numbers you probably mean that if they get 9% and 12% of the EFF, then it is a done deal. They can try and work together, maybe including some of smaller parties. But it is very difficult because egos are going to clash. That is where the ANC really needs to humble themselves and go and speak to the DA. Exclude the DA and then continue and work with the other parties. What is guaranteeing us that if they do that, there won't be problems between those parties? Remember, it is better to work with a small group than to work with a large group. That is where we are having a problem. And I don't blame any other political party but the ANC. They are the ones in the middle, and they are the ones who are toying with power. You look at how things are running. We are going to 2026 elections. People are not really focused on the present. They are focusing on the future. Give the people of Gauteng services. By doing that, you agree with each other to work. But as long as they say that you want to do this, I want to do this, there won't be service. And at the end, you guys are the ones who are going to suffer. And by suffering, it is probably going to mean that a lot of things are going to be expensive. You are going to be paying increased tariffs. Then who do you blame? ANC or DA? Because these are the people that are supposed to have a relationship. But I think what is going to happen tomorrow, we are almost at an hour. I think what is going to happen tomorrow, Fikile Mbalula is going to announce that ANC is probably forming a coalition with the EFF, MK, and PA, and probably some other parties. And they are going to exclude the DA because what Helen Zille said today is that if ANC is trying to take a lot of positions and give us less, we are pulling out. So I believe that the DA has already pulled out of this relationship, and ANC is going to bring EFF and other political parties to work together. For me, it's not about who works with who. For me, it's about, can you change the lives of the people? Can they go and say that, okay, we are working with EFF, MK, and other political parties, but we are going to change how things were run in Gauteng? If they can do that, then good for them. Let them continue with their relationship. But if it fails, then ANC does not deserve any votes in the coming elections 2026 and 2029, because the ball is in their hands. They can allow to be led or allowed to work with DA or other parties by sharing power and not wanting to be the leader. That is as far as we can go in terms of this issue. So I believe, guys, we are going to have a press briefing tomorrow, and we're going to hear from the ANC what is going to happen. But we already know they are clueless in terms of a way forward. They are going to want to bring politics of who is better than who. Jada, how can there be a problem with parties with same policies, but the party with opposite policies don't fight? That's logic. Those with same policies will fight less than those that don't have. Okay, before we end this, let me answer this. You do know that it is not just about policies. You do know that when we talk about politicians, we speak about power. Put policies aside. It is about power. People are looking for power, not just to give you benefits, to give you services. Politicians are more interested in power. You can have policies, but if you have leaders that are more interested in leading and having power, you are going to have a problem. And a lot of politicians are not looking to advance the interest of the people. They are looking to have blue lights. They are looking to have a lot of bodyguards and like be respected instead of going and giving people what they deserve. If really in South Africa and many other African countries, it was more about we have same policies, let us care about our people and deliver service, Africa would not be what it is today. The reason Africa is like this is because people are focused on, let me have this before I give you this. You are going to have a problem with tenders. That is where we have issues. Policies aside, policies can build a country, but corrupt individuals destroy what policies build. Nomsa, you have already started spreading propaganda and discrediting the ANC. Why must the ANC, what? Why must the ANC, the way forward, they're also a minority, go promote DA? You know what, Nomsa? I would like to address you because you are making a mockery of yourself. I wonder how you feel typing such nonsense because you're probably an adult, and you know the best thing if you come on to this channel and we engage is to be respectful and try and put your points across. We would listen to you, but really, what I'm gonna do is just to exclude you from the channel because it's not acceptable for you to come with such kind of language. Anyway, guys, Yunda, the president has got a gun on his head where votes are concerned in parliament. He can't afford messing up with the DA anyway. They will always remind him of Pala vote in parliament. That is what I'm saying. They are going to remind him of Pala. That is why siding with the DA means that he is in safe hands. Siding with other political parties, they've already said that they want him out. So I think, guys, that's as far as we can take it in terms of the issue of Gauteng. I'm going to be listening tomorrow to see how things are going to unfold. I'm in no way in favor of anyone, but I'm just saying ANC should really humble themselves and bring the DA together and work, because it is not about us. It is not about them. It is about us. If really they don't agree to work with each other, next thing we're going to complain about a lot of money being lost, because comrades are more focused on who can I be friends with. With that said, guys, Thank you for tuning into the channel. And probably we're going to have a live stream of Fikile Mbalula address. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good night. Cheers.